Okay, hello everyone. I think that we can go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining and welcome to this virtual reality webinar. Today we will talk about the history, evolution, and mostly some applications of virtual reality, and especially so you can think about how can you apply this new technology into your business. So first, we will talk a little bit about Globant. We are basically a software service provider with one key difference, and is that we integrate engineering, design, and innovation. In that sense, a little brief about our history. We started like 11 years ago. We work with a lot of cool companies and gaming companies also. And we are more than 3,000 employees currently. This year we also listed on the New York Stock market. One of the key things, and as I spoke about, our main difference with other service providers is that we have this ability to play with new toys and the trends. So you can check our webinar also on the wearable computers and Internet of Things that is available on the YouTube channel. And well, today we will talk about virtual reality. So first, we will start with some definitions just to understand and try to refocus what we think about when we talk about virtual reality. Basically, it's a user interface that includes real-time and also stimulate the sense through multiple sensorial channels. And that means that it includes visualization. As you may know, Oculus is really well known name since Facebook bought it. But that also includes another set of things that still needs to be included to basically have this sense of virtual reality. And why do we want to have this? Well, basically to have immersion. And that immersion allows us to explore pretty much everything. So as you think about VR, and as we will be speaking on this webinar, you will hear me say a lot about feelings, a lot about immersion, a lot about having these new experiences that are more than visual. So if you see here, one of the pictures here is an old machine called Stellarium. And if you see, it includes visualization as well as audio and vibration and wind and aroma, basically to stimulate all the things. And we will also talk about how these the lack of these other senses can have an impact on the experience overall, and basically on motion sickness and other symptoms like that. Another important thing to consider is that there are different types or kinds of VR systems that we need to understand to see what we can apply basically to our business. So the first one, that is Windows of World, it's basically like a 3D TV. It's something that is projected on a plane surface, but you have a goggles or something that makes you feel. It's the first iteration of the VR system was around stereoscopic view. The other one is the immersive, and it involves these head-mounted displays. And basically, it's a way for you to have a complete abstraction of what is happening around you. If you pay attention to the picture, it's not only the Oculus, but also the Omni and the Virtuix Omni motion base that gives you that immersion on, in this case, on Team Fortress 2. The other one is around augmented reality, and it's basically a mix between what you are seeing and what you can include in a computer-generated image or model. As you see in the picture, that's a product that IKEA has, where you can basically scan something on their flyers, and then you can select the furniture and basically put it in your real living room or any room that you wanna add this new furniture. So the important thing around augmented reality, and one of the things that we will discuss around the challenges, is that computer vision is another step that you need to perform on this, and it's another set of complications to be solved. That's why it still has some clunky behavior, basically. Going into a little bit about the history of virtual reality, it's something that we start to pursue really earlier in the technology scale, but then something happened that was like a radio silence for a lot of time. And so if you see here, the first era of this is around stereoscopic view and head-mounted displays. So if you see around the earliest 90s, they started to work on this, on the Leap Optics vivid data globe, because at this point, and if you see, there are some prices there. At this point, the technology was really expensive. It was really difficult. The computer science was getting born, and especially 3D content was not that available yet. Around the 1990s, then again, flight simulators and flight helmets. The whole industry was pushed from military and space, because it was the most secure way for them to train people and to expose people to certain behaviors that they were facing in real life. So again, the prices for these devices was really, really, really high, and basically not accessible for mass consumption. 1995, the Virtual Boy, I don't know if anyone saw that. It was a huge failure from Nintendo, something really nice as an idea, but really the technology was not ready. And again, 1995, Sony intended to again get into this world, and today they are trying to catch up, as you may heard, on the Project Morpheus. But if you see, like around 1988, Leap System, the company that was one of the first ones to start working on this, was shut down, and basically that was it until basically today. We have some devices coming around 2005, but they were really, really not a good quality, and they were basically a video player in your eyes. So as for today, hello, can you hear me well? So I don't know if you can hear me well, sorry. Okay, now I'm back on the same. So, okay, around today, as you may heard, we started the race a couple of years ago when Oculus was in the initial Kickstarter, one of the most successful ones, and the first one to illustrate that we were forgotten on this. We thought that we couldn't make it, but these guys make it. And just as the Kickstarter, and for anyone who has used the device, it still needs to improve a lot around a lot of things like resolutions and latency and tracking. But it was a clear evidence that there was a chance to catch up on this and to basically do it again. And we have Sony, the Project Morpheus, we have the Google glasses for some years, we have the Meta glasses, the space glasses that are also for augmented reality that are really, really good. But the thing is that Parmi, Lucky, and the Oculus guys were a clear evidence that we can do it. And now everybody's looking at it, and more since Facebook bought it, because it was a huge deal, and also a clear evidence that someone was willing to pay a lot for that business. And if you see, for many, many years, we didn't have anything to refer to as we were talking to VR or virtual reality, and now it's something that everybody's talking and doing webinars. So we will talk about the architecture of the Oculus Rift. It's really simple. It's a full HD that is split in half, and one of the things is that they make the image curve, and you need to correct that by software, and we are able to do that thanks to GPUs. And you can adjust different lenses. It has a head tracking with a camera now that you have 6 degrees of freedom right now, so you can rotate and you can have a position info, which is really important, and it's something that has latency involved too, and it's a huge challenge to do that really, really quickly, to have this sensation of reality happening around you. I want the photo view, that is basically the amount of degrees that you can see. Is not perfect yet, but it's really, really good. And so this is just the specs for the DevKit 2, but the consumer version that is expected to be next year, but we still don't know, should be something around this. So as we saw the timeline, there was a huge gap in that timeline where we didn't hear anything about it. And one of the reasons behind that, or at least I think the reason behind that, is that there are a lot of issues that came into the plate when it comes to create this virtual environment. And one of the things that you probably heard about is motion sickness.
The difference between what your brain is thinking that you're doing and what your body and the rest of the senses tell you that you're doing. And it's one of the things that if you give it you try the Oculus, you will experiment in first person. Is that if you use it for long periods of time without the proper calibration, you will get dizzy, and probably you get this motion sickness feeling, and that's due to several things. One is related with tracking and latency. That is, imagine that if you are playing a 3D game, you need to take the user input, generate the geometry, generate the textures and all that, the illumination of the game, and then render that. And the thing is that if you want to have a rendering from the perspective of each of the eyes, it includes a lot of calculations that you need to put in the middle of that, which means that it's a huge challenge to keep tracking of the movement of the head, and that involves latency, because you need to have the relative position and then make the calculations to adjust the image and render the image from the perspective of each eye to give this, again, like the illusion of 3D. That it's also related with mobility and free movement, and it's something that if you take a look now with this Samsung Gear, you need to have a lot of cables connected, because a way to avoid this latency and tracking is to basically have a wider control connection to to the computer that is running the simulations. So you will, if you saw the Oculus, you will see that you have a lot of cables to connect, like USB and HDMI. Basically, the USB is to have all the tracking information, and the HDMI is basically to have the render on that. Another huge challenge, and it's something that we are playing with in one of our labs, is around the user interface and user interaction. And that involves that now having buttons and stuff like that in a common UI is really simple, and it has a lot of iterations. For VR, it's really different, because if you have the Oculus, you cannot use your hands with much freedom, and if not, you need an extra device like a Xbox joystick or a Razer Hydra or whatever. But again, the UI, the traditional application of UI and UX, it doesn't apply quite well to the VR world. So it's another challenge that people is trying to solve in this, and it's something that is still really, really immature, and something that really, really needs a lot of work. And so again, complexity of open worlds and having interaction with other senses. As you see in the picture, it's really nice. It's basically a GIF where the guy can fly. And if you see, there is a fan there is a motion base, there is the Oculus. So it's a lot of devices just to have that immersion in the world, that if you are trying to fly like a bird, for instance, but if you are sitting in a chair, it doesn't feel that right, and your body tells your brain that you're not moving, and your eyes tell your brain that you are moving. And basically you can throw up, because that's a defensive mechanism from the body that basically thinks that you have poison, you have been poisoned from any reason. And so what the body does, and the reaction is to get this motion sickness and at the end to throw up, because it thinks that you are sick. So if you see, there are still a lot of things. If you try the Oculus, you will see that you still get motion sickness. You still feel the latency, the tracking, the color aberration, and you cannot move. And then, like, all the demos that you have a primitive UI and UX iterations. Basically, they have buttons that you still need to press, and there is something that still needs to be reworked. So talking a little bit about ecosystem, is what we are trying to showcase here is that basically you need a whole set of devices just to have this feeling, and not only just the Oculus because you want to see something cool, or the Galaxy Gear. You still need the other controls, just to being able to control the experience, but also to add more realism to the simulation, and with all these devices, you postpone, doesn't eliminate, but you postpone this motion sickness thing, and you can basically run the simulation, being inside the simulation for a long time. For those who are Star Trek fans, the ultimate thing about this is the holodeck. We want to run any simulations, and you want to interact with any environment and props that are on that simulation as if it was real. So here, and this is from the K0 website, there are a couple of numbers. These are just, in this case, this is like the list of devices that are currently being developed. And if you see here, like right now, there is a lot of companies that are starting to think about and working on mixed reality and immersion virtual reality. Now that, of course, Oculus has proven that it can be done, now there is a huge race for we will see a lot of devices coming in, and then in a couple of next years, we'll see dropping down again the list of devices until some of them will consolidate as the standard one, let's say. So you can see here that Samsung has the Gear VR, Sony has the Morpheus, Meta has the Space glasses, Google has the Google glasses, and again, there are a lot of companies that are starting to see this as a new opportunity now that Oculus has proven that can be done. And so this is just as a reference of all that radio silence is now over, and there are a lot of people paying attention to this and see how can we get to the point until the technology is ready. Here, again, this is some projection. It's not some numbers that we can trust. But again, it shows some progression over the next year on how the active people, the active reality, virtual reality users will be adopting the technology in three different. One is the early majority, the early adopters, and the innovators. So as you see, and we see a lot of focus around games, but we'll see some samples around things that are not necessarily games nor media and entertainment. But again, it shows that in the next couple of years, people will start adopting this. And a lot of people believe that this is going to change how people interact. This is really going to change a lot of things, how you communicate with others, how you work with others, and how you basically entertain yourself and others too. This is the same projection, but basically in software revenue. Now a lot of companies, even Valve, has been actively working on this, and they have already pushed an SDK through this TeamWorks engine that you can incorporate. And they were one of the first partners with Oculus to work on how to bring games into VR, how to integrate the experience, the first-person shooter especially, into the VR world. And so this is just showing again how as people will start adopting the technology, they will start buying not only the hardware that is required, but also the software that it will be adapted to that technology. And one of the things to consider when we talk about adapting is not only making a port of something that you already have, but to start thinking on your business, how can you incorporate this technology, whatever business you're doing, it's going to impact. And as of today, you are still in time to start investigating, and we'll see some samples from real companies that are using the dev kits to test with people in the field and to see what is the feedback about that. And this is an analysis of basically the kind of games and the average age that is consuming those. It's not a surprise that around the 30 years old and people is involved because that is the generation that started with computer games basically, and closer to the generation that started with computer games. So you see that there are casual and platformer games and games that are going to be designed for these kind of experiences, as well as simulation games. Those are the most easy to adapt because they were already including some sort of reality that is simulated, and they only need to adjust that. Especially, like, again, if you test around new concepts on simulation games like Aero Track Simulator is something really cool, and there are a lot of people having fun on how to park a huge truck, and playing with Oculus is really nice. And on the new concepts and MMOs and stuff like that, like horror games, it's something that is really, really coming along because it's one of the first experience that you can get just from visuals and audio. It's fear. It's something that is really easy to get with a game. A sample about that is The Witness, or any sample around alone in the Rift or demos that are on the Oculus arena. One of the things that is also included in these new concepts, and that you will see, and most people think that it's going to become a new genre, is relaxation games. So things that are related with meditations and basically a kind of therapy, but it's not a medical therapy, but something to relax on that. And there are even companies experimenting with that to deal with jet lag and with other symptoms. That again, having a simulation and stimulating the right sense in the proper way, you can get to a feeling of that says happiness or happiness. So now we will go through some of the applications, and some of them are probably really well known, and some of them were already playing with these devices because they were the medicine, military, the NASA, for instance. They already had the budget to buy the devices when they were already expensive, and right now they are of course trying to get this into a more consumer base. So one of the first application, and this is a more traditional one because they were already using that, is for medicine training, remote surgery. It's something that is really coming along right now between robotics and virtual reality to allow telepresence of people in other places, as well as phobia treatment and pain relief. If you see on the picture, it's like you see that this simulation is something in the middle between having the real spider and having to just treat the person with words. In this case, you are able to get a visualization. If you pay attention, there is a toy spider that is put over the hand, so you can you can stimulate the feelings and the touch in this case. So those medicine again was one of the early adopters of these technologies, but now it's really coming along. Again, if you see here, it's from a paper on internet. It's how it's changing how therapy is conducted. In this case, it's a stroke therapy. That is allowing these people to play with the teapot in this case and try to adjust the senses on that. And it's on a virtual environment, and you can add any gamification mechanics around that to try to turn a boring treatment into something more fun. And again, dealing with hot coffee will be more painful treatment than having that in a virtual environment and allowing these guys to do that. Also, if you pay attention, it's not only visualization. In this case, the user has a data clock that is transmitting how people is interacting with the hand in this case. And again, that adds a new level of realism that is required for this. It's not only just the visuals, because again, you start to feel that is something not that real, and your body can react into that. Again, military and space, military training, scenario simulations, and remote control. If you see this picture, this is a picture from the NASA team making and running some simulations on the space that are, again, more easy, more cheaper, and more secure to do that. And then you get that training, and that immersion helps you to retain the concepts and being more active in the learning instead of just reading the manual of something. Right now we have a lot of engines that you can use to create really fast simulations and basically have any environment design. And by adding simple rules, you can get a good feeling of what that reality will be, in this case for the space. And again, this is something really cool that I found. In this case, it's for military treatment. It's a pain relief, and it's basically a game for people that have suffer from burning injuries and are on recovery. The recovery and the treatment for that is really painful. So this university hospital designed a game that is this snow world where there are these snow puppets, and then you can throw snowballs, and that has proven to be a really success for these patients to support the pain that this treatment involves. There is a small picture there that has like the stats about how the treatment is conducted with VR and without the VR, and people start to see that the pain level, and just by running a simple game, because it's a really simple game, it's just throwing snowballs into snow. The concept of something cold, it's giving them some pain relief when they receive the treatment. Since they suffer from burning injuries, they try to look for the opposite side. So, and in this case, it's just a visualization, and the user has a mouse when you can click around and just throw balls over it. But again, having that immersion from the visual perspective is helping the brain to support the pain, which is really important. Another kind of obvious application is around engineering and architecture visualization. This is a company that basically takes your home and put it in 3D, and they use Unity as an engine, and they let you walk into your future house or into the modification of your house if you want to do one. Really simple, one of the most obvious ones, because again, architecture, scientific visualizations, and in this case, engineering is something that they can prove. But we can take this to the next level and maybe connecting several people doing that, doing marketing research, setting up a huge mall or a Walmart, for instance. Any retail can have the experience of people walking into the store and playing around with the products without actually having to be there or having to set up the infrastructure, the hardware infrastructure, and the buildings and all that to do it. And in fact, there are companies that are providing solutions for visualization or 3D visualizations. And if you want to walk into the store, you just need to add the Oculus SDK to Unreal or Unity. And you can basically walk around. And again, if you see the history about, in this case, architecture, like many years ago, you just you couldn't see the house, you just see the blueprints of the house. Then we went one step further, and we were able to generate your house in a 3D environment. Now, again, you will have the experience to walk into your house and to see the furniture, so you can interact with the furniture, make changes, and you can make a change in the design and then walk again. You can have the position of the sun design in this world to see how the sun is going to impact on your illumination, how your kitchen would look like at certain hour in the day. Another application around commerce and fashion, it's a company that designed this VR fashion that is basically just to put you in the center of the stage and allowed you to presence, like a parade of clothes, and you can see how you can also make a scan of your 3D scan of your body, and then you can adjust the clothes to you. This is integrated with a tool that is called Marvelous Designer, that I don't know if many of you have heard, but it's basically a 3D clothing design tool that allows you to create clothes in 3D, and you can put it on a body, and then you can have these people walking around to see how the clothes physics behave. And In this case, imagine that you can see someone from third-person perspective, but you can also have it close put on you and look into a mirror or look how anything is going to look on your real body. So they are also integrating with what people is looking at it, and this is really important to get heat maps on what is the most important things what people look when it's looking to the clothes or basically any product. It could be clothes, but it could be anything. And one of the huge impact and some of the things that we are, at least from my perspective, I'm still surprised, is that if I go to Amazon, I just see pictures of the product that I want to build. We didn't even get that step further to show a 3D model of that. And we can even go, again, way too further and have your product in your hands just by having this connected with any VR devices that are going to be available to the market. So again, it's something that you can think about your business and you can be really disruptive on how to integrate this. And basically, it's not the same as seeing someone with a clothes or seeing a picture of a clothes than to have the first view, the first-person view on a parade and a fashion parade, looking at the clothes, seeing how it behaves in movement, basically, and again with the immersion included. Obviously, one of the initial applications was around media and entertainment, gaming, social media, no interactive entertainment, and experience sharing. And one of the things that you will see through these examples is that it's always about it's going one step further on selling a product, including the experience of using that product. So you will see some creative samples that we have here that are really, really creative in a way to share what you did, to tell the story that you want to tell, but not only with visuals and with words and with sound, but also including the feelings that are required. So let's change here. Dragonflight. I don't know if any of you had the chance to test it. I was lucky enough to test it, and it's really, really amazing. This came from DreamWorks, and they have a team that's called Dream Labs, and they developed this. You can see the kids there. And one of the things that I extracted from their experience, and it's a word from Shiraz, one of the product managers there, is that they wanted to focus on helping people and understand what it feels like to fly. If you see, it's about feelings, it's about experience. And in this experience, they allow you to, they put you above a dragon, and you can basically fly around the dragon. Again, that includes not only the visualization and the audio, but if you pay closer attention, they modify the joystick to have this feeling that you are catching the dragon, and the chair that you see below has vibrates, so it gives you feedback about that. And an important note about this is that if you go through this experience with your feet on the floor, you get more dizzy than if you don't have your feet on the floor, because the reality of mounting a dragon is that your feet are going to be, and if you're flying especially, your feet are going to be hanging out. They are not going to touch the floor. So one important thing is that as you go through this experience, subtle things like where your foot is where the position is going to have a huge impact on the experience overall. And again, I tried it myself, and it's really, really amazing. It's really amazing. It's really flying around the village of How to Train Your Dragon, and you can even pick up the dragon and fly around. It's really, really amazing. One of the experience that I also recommend if you have a device is light and lighting. It's, again, this around entertainment. It's not interactive. You cannot change what is happening, or you don't have control, but it's an amazing experience to go through what would be a representation of the death path, and going through the different stage of the journey. So again, this is amazing. It's something that has a really, really nice touch on the visual part, but also on the audio included. It's like an opera, but in virtual reality. It's really, really amazing. I truly recommend for those of you. And they have a version without the VR, but especially if you have a VR device like an Oculus Dev Kit, it's something really, really recommendable to test. Again, scientific visualization and immersive education is something that it was one of the first implementations of this, and it has to do with a way that we visualize data that is going to be really, really different in the next coming years. And one cool example that I really like it's Project Time Travel. And basically what they are doing is reality history, virtual reality history, and literature simulation. They basically want to put you in the proper time and location, time and space, of any major history point in the worldwide history. So they are starting to do that because, of course, it's a huge thing. And the concept is that if it's like a mini game where you have like your time machine in the garage, and then you can select the point in time that you want to go and have a first-person presence. So imagine that you can be one of the soldiers in the World War I or II, or any major event in Rome, or anything that you want to have in the history point, and you can be in first person there. And they are trying to promote this as a community project, because of course having the modeling of all these things is really, really complex. But the idea about having our kids experiment and live mostly the history, it's way too much different than having a book and read it as we did. The kids this day, they are already learning more of history through Assassin's Creed games than through books. And so imagine what they can learn and how fast can they learn if they have a presence there, if they are really, really in front of what is happening. So I really found this project really, really interesting. Another cool sample around education and science is a demo that shows 3D fractals. So you can basically navigate through these fractals visualizations, and it's really, really nice too. You can see this abstract board that are really, really nice. And if you are studying any sort of math in some level, I'm pretty sure that having this kind of visualization is going to help you a lot. And again, these are the most traditional ones because they have a lot of money to spend, but manufacture around engineering, CAD design, interactive simulation, and again, sharing the experience of going and driving a car or adjusting things. You can see in the picture here, it's a simulation of a car, the interior of the car, and you can basically adjust things. You have these hands, and you can interact with the devices. So this once again was one of the earlier adopters of the technology. So as you see, there are a lot of samples and a lot of applications that you can think of, and basically we pick up a few of them to develop on Globant, just to play around our labs and to being able to experiment with the technology, as well as learning the SDKs and all that. One of the things that we pick up, because basically the two guys that pick it up, myself and Walter, we are pretty fans of any space-related things. And so our first approach was to build a Stellarium in 3D and basically allow the 3D visualization of the solar system and the universe, a kind of No Man's Sky approach, but without the huge amount of work that those guys have put in. But our idea is that you can eventually land on the planet, walk around, and then again catch you, fly, and go deep into the universe. We are working with a space agency in Argentina, trying to get as most accurate information that we can do to run the simulation. And it is expected, and we still have a long road, that could be used for research purpose, not only for visualization. For that, of course, we are using Unity, that is offer one of the most simple integrations. The other one that we are playing with is our augmented reality. It's a simple sport-based game that allows you to turn anything, any product or any flyer of your products into a mini games that you can play with. So simple game mechanics, fun and engaging experience, and easy to adapt to any brand, basically. So the idea is to have something that you can play while you're waiting for your friends or something like that. And we are integrating Euphoria, that is a really nice augmented reality framework. And again, we are using Unity targeting for mobile devices in this case. So I think that we have some questions. We have a couple of minutes. And I think that, let me get the question. So the first one that I see here is, what do you think about virtual reality concerning recreation of smells of aroma? Well, that's one of the most challenging ones, of course. I think that 3D printing may help on that, but it's really difficult. I read about one device that can transmit like smells, but again, it needs to be the most real interaction possible. So if you are cutting a flower, you need to know what flower is and know how that smell is. So for sure, it's going to be one of the most difficult ones to get. And so we have here also some questions that people have to register. So what could be the main impact segment of VR in the industry? Media and entertainment was one of the most common ones. And a lot of people is focusing on media and entertainment, not only games, but also on having these experiences like the ones that I share about dragons and the path through the death stages. So I think that those are going to be really a huge impact. And again, anything around medicine and engineering and design is going to have a huge impact. One of the also things to consider is that Facebook was involved in this because I think that they had the same feeling that this is going to change how people have the interactions. So I saw another one around 360 video. There are some devices that you can buy where you can put different cameras around, and then you can share your experience. So again, the main segment probably is going to be media and entertainment and social, but again, everything is going to impact on pretty much everything. In the context of VR headset, how important is the complementary use of hand and finger motion detection technologies? Well, again, this has two sides. The first one is that you need to provide a way to interact with your simulation. So that's one of the things that I think that, you need. It is really important. And the other one is that, again, you need to provide the most accurate representation of the reality. And that means that in reality, you have hands and you can use it for interact with things that are around you. So anything that you can adjust to that, it's better. If you're doing a roller coaster simulation, probably your hands are going to be tired or you are going to be grabbing something that is really static. But as you saw on the DreamWorks sample, having different devices that fit the illusion is really important, not only for the experience, but also to avoid this motion sickness. How do you envision virtual reality for shopping and e-commerce? Well, we saw some examples. The idea is that you want to transmit the feeling. So imagine that you can be inside the shopping, and you can try it out, the product. You can see it on 3D. You can see it in real scape. It's no more pictures on Amazon. Basically, it's having a way to interact with that. So eventually it's going to impact on that. And as we saw in the sample of the fashion, it's something that is going to impact. If you are getting creative, you can think about a lot of interactions for your product. It depends a lot of on your business, and it needs to be customized. So again, if you feel that this is something that you want to pursue, you can contact us and we can discuss in more detail. So besides the virtual experience, what other experience can be adapted to this technology in the future? Well, it's a little confusing, the question, but as you saw in the sample, the experiences to adapt to this are pretty much endless, from showing a product to showcasing any simulation, any product that you are building, any product that it's already on retail, as well as transmitting new experiences. So right now, I think that we will have books, we'll have games, we'll have movies, and then we'll have VR movies, as we have 3D movies that are not that cool yet. So what specific tools are being created for capturing? Well, as I mentioned, there is a company that is selling a way that you can attach this GoPro camera, and there is a software that basically builds all that. The only thing around that is that you can move your head, but you cannot move in any direction. You cannot have translation because you will always have the focus on the center of the camera. But there are some devices that you can buy. And I don't remember the name, but there is a camera that is coming that is already 360. So how can we take advantage of virtual reality for massive consumption industry after Resteria Quilmes? Well, again, imagine inside a brewery, and imagine how you have this marketing around things that you put on TV. Well, now imagine that people can be inside that and be surrounded with women and cool bar. And so it's about the experiences. That's from the consumer point of view, from the inside point of view, and looking inside your supply chain or your production, having 3D visualizations and immersion on how your factory would look like, or any changes that you need to do that. It's going to be really nice probably to have to. And last, which are the best programming language for this technology? Well, I came from C++, so I would say C++, but again, the Oculus, at least, you have an SDK that you can download for native development on each platform. And you also have plugins for Unity and for Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine, now that is a more cheaper one, it's something that it's one of the best that you can get from the quality perspective. But Unity is really easy to deploy and to set up. So C#, between C#, Objective-C, C++, and all that, those are the main language that you will find on this. Okay, well, you have my contact information there. If you have any questions or you want to discuss any specifics or how can we apply this to your business, don't hesitate to send me an email. And again, thank you for joining. And sorry again for all the audio inconvenience.